Hello everybody, so today's video we're going to be talking about the story of how I met Luc Tate and my time in school with Luc Tate. So just an unbelievable story in hindsight to know that I went to school with someone like this. Like, there was no suspicion before on my radar that he was going to be the person he is today. Like, really, there was just nothing. He looked like a normal guy, just a kind of a shy guy. Just back when I was going to school with him, it's just like, it's unbelievable to know that he is where he's at today. And just like the previous video about Luc Tate, it's an unbelievable experience when you meet people like this. So let's get right into it. This was back in 2014, so it was my first semester as well as his at San Diego State University. That's the school we both attended. The difference with me and him is that for him, he went from high school straight into a public university, whereas for me, it was like I went to high school, then I went to community college, then I went to a public university. So we both attended, San Diego State University, and it was a French culture class that we were both in. And we had two reasons for it, and I think I can speak on Luc's behalf for this because he did tell me. So we both took it because we had some GEs or some prerequisites to do, and we also both have French background. So hence the way his name is spelled out is Luc. It's because of his French background. And for me, I also have French progeniture. My dad's side of the family is French. And so because of that, I took this French culture class. Now, that being said, I think we both left the French culture class even more confused on our French culture than when we had first entered. And the reason I say that is because this teacher that we had the class with, this teacher was about to retire at the end of the semester. At that point, he was done with his career. Like, he had taught at SDSU for a number of years. I think it was about over 20 years for sure. And I remember at the end of the semester, that teacher was like, okay, I'm going to go to Italy, like, drink my fine wine. I'm going to retire, like, on the side of the beach. And, dude, this guy was done. This guy was done with school. And so, Luc sat right across from me, and I very much remember him. He was quite a shy guy. I remember that. But the thing with him, man, if you can get across him, like, if you can because the thing with Luc is, this is the thing, like, he kind of has a wall or a facade, and I don't want to say it in a bad way, but he's not like totally 100% genuine at the beginning. But if you can get across him, like, he's funny, like, he's a nice guy, like, he's funny, like, he's cool, like, he really is. But you got to get across that wall, and I'll get to it later on. But he's really cool. So he sat right across from me, and I remember we had some interactions sometimes because sometimes we'd have to do some readings, and sometimes we'd have to interact. And I remember speaking to Luc about it, which none of us did the readings because we weren't held accountable for the readings. And so, this teacher was the weirdest. It was the weirdest class we've ever had, and I think I can speak on Luc's behalf for this too. It's just the weirdest class we've ever had. The reason I say that is because this teacher really meandered his way into the French culture. Like, there was no direction into him talking about the French culture. It's a very desultory class. No PowerPoints, no assignments. I think there was like one final at the end of the class. I don't know how it worked out. Somehow I got an A-. No, somehow I got a B+. And I don't remember what Luc got, but it was such a weird class. And I remember talking with Luc sometimes, and we were just like, this is such a weird class, you know? But the thing I remember with Luc is he's a really nice guy, but you gotta get across that wall, you know? That's the thing with Luc. But because I remember, like, I think I remember him, like, talking with friends or something, or people he knew, and when you saw him with people he knew, he was quite a bit different, you know? Because I remember talking with him sometimes, like, he would have his wall up, and you couldn't quite get across him. So anyways, we had that class together. Semester comes, the end of the semester comes, and it's over, and we never see each other again. I think I might have seen him like once or twice during the springtime. I might have said hi, or I might have been like, oh yeah, it's that one guy from my French culture class. Because we talked a little bit, and when you talk a little bit in a class that you have together, it's like, oh yeah, it's that one guy, you know? Versus people you don't talk to at all. People you don't talk to at all, but you see it, you're like, oh yeah, it's that one person, but you're like, yeah, whatever. But people you talk to in the same class, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I know that person. So I think I might have seen him like once or twice during the springtime. And then the fall time of 2015 comes around. And then, at that point, I'm like, I don't even remember the guy, almost. And I think it's like September or October. Uh, I'm working at a hotel. It's a residential hotel, so usually it's people who stay there for months and months on end. It's like an apartment complex, basically. And then Luc Tate comes in, and I'm working at the front desk. And at the time, like, I'm like, I see him come in, and I'm like, man, that guy looks so familiar. And so he comes in, he's like, you know where room 511 is? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's on the 5th floor. I'm like, you look familiar. And he's like, yeah, you do too, man. But he didn't really think much of it, but in my head, I was like, dude, where's this guy from? Where's this guy from? And it's like one of those things where it just gets to you. It's like one of those people where you're like, dude, I have to know where this guy's from. Like, it bothers you so badly. So he's on his way there. My coworker, I'm talking to my coworker. My coworker's like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, like I don't know, man. Like I'm trying to remember. And my coworker is gay, so he's like, oh, he's cute or he's good looking, And I'm like, yeah, he's a pretty good looking guy actually. Because I do remember that from Luke. He was a pretty good looking guy. He was pretty slim. He has gained a lot of muscle like ever since I met him to today. It's crazy. Obviously he has gray hair too, which is another thing that I've noticed from back then to today. And then so he goes up to the floor, delivers a pizza, then comes back down, and I'm like, man, where do I remember him? And then like all of a sudden, like I get it. I'm like, oh no, it's that guy from my French culture class. And so I remember that, and then he comes back down, and I'm like, dude, like, you're that guy from my French culture class. And he's like, oh, yeah, huh? Like, kind of desultory, too, Like, not really much connection there, Like I said earlier, kind of like that walled-off kind of way, So I was like, yeah, man, it's so good to see you. Like, I have a lot of emotion. Like, I convey a lot of emotion, so, like, so I kind of did that, but he was kind of walled off still. He's like, yeah, good to see you too, man. He wasn't thinking of it too much, I guess. And so, anyways, he went off about his way, and then I never see him again up until now. And so, and the reason I think this is Luke, the one I went to school with, is because he's French. He lived in California. He was a delivery driver. Like all these things connect, and I'm sure that the more things that come up, like the more things I'm like, oh yeah, this is the guy I went to school with. So that was my story with Luc Tate. Just another insane experience that I've had. So thanks for watching, and have a great day, y'all. Thanks.